What's going on, guys? Alex here with 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the Kizer Knives Aura. Now, the Aura was sent over for review from Justin over at White Mountain Knives. You guys know, if you've been watching the channel for a little bit, Justin is really good about, always letting me check out anything I ask for. I think this is probably the third or fourth model from him. I'll just shoot him an email and say, hey, Justin, do you care if I check this out? And he's, again, really, really good about it. So I've really enjoyed my time with Yara. And Justin, if you are watching this, thank you so much, my friend. I always appreciate, you sending me over, the models that you have, and, always just being a good sport about it and being a good friend. So appreciate you so much. And like I just said, I've really enjoyed this model. I specifically asked for this one because I had seen, a lot of people getting, a lot of hype around it. It is a collaboration design between Jonathan Stiles and Paul Monco, which you guys can tell, I'm sure, right away just from the styling of the design. You can see, both of those guys' fingerprints over this model all over. So that was one reason I was really intrigued. I knew it was a little bit smaller, which you guys know I love small knives. And I just thought it looked really good fit and finish wise. So yeah, I reached out to him. He let me check it out, and I'm here to give my full thoughts and opinions on it. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. You guys can see that this specific version has kind of a nice monochrome gray finish going on. They're calling this a gray stonewashed. So you have a gray stonewashed blade. They're calling this a drop point, but I mean, it kind of has a mixture of a drop point with a little bit of a harpoon and also a little bit of a sheep's foot. Nice little belly there. You have a hole for deployment. Kizer. It's an S45EN, which is really, really cool. And there, like I said, is Paul Monco and Jonathan Stiles maker's marks. It is in inset liner lock. Excuse me, not an inset liner lock. It is just a liner lock. I apologize. Not too much lock bar. Lock bar access. Not too much internal milling on the liner lock side. But on the show scale side, if you guys can see in there, there's nice big and probably three nice pockets. 1, 2, 3. Yes, three nice pockets milled in there, which is great. You have a non-reversible, milled titanium pot clip that is very on brand. You can definitely see the Militaw and the mini Militaw, come into play here. I see a lot of similarities, especially with the clip and these bolsters here. This specific one is in Brittany Blue Camo Carbon, which I asked for this specific one. There's 4 other ones, which we'll touch on in a second, but I thought this one looked the best. I'm usually not the biggest Brittany Blue Camo Carbon fan, but I thought the blue with the gray, it just went together really well. And then, of course, here on the pivot collar, we have the Camo Carbon as well. Nice little backspacer there, too, of Camo Carbon. And, of course, you have a lanyard standoff. Hole for deployment, nice thin knife. Give you guys some quick specs here. So blade length, we have just over 3 inches at 3.09. You have an overall length from tip to butt of 7.07 and a handle length or close length of 3.98. And this comes in weighing 3.19 ounces. So really, really lightweight for what it is. And again, it's not a huge knife. It's nice, small, very slim, kind of a gentlemanly carry. I have kind of, adapted my likings for it as. Now, I did mention there was a few other versions. I will leave a link in the description down below to White Mountain Knives, to the four versions. Can't talk today, guys. I apologize. 4 versions. 2 are sold out. Unfortunately, this is one of them. But you have the gray titanium and camo carbon Brittany Blue here. You have a snowflake titanium handle. So you have a satin blade with just normal stonewashed titanium, and then the inlay is like a snowflake kind of anodized tie. Then you have, a black titanium with a satin blade. Black titanium bolsters with a gold carbon fiber inlay here. And then you have a fully blacked out blade, blacked out bolsters with a Damascus handle. That is the most expensive one. And that one is in a Crew-Wear blade. The other 3 versions are rocking S45EN blades. And we'll touch on price point later on in the video. Some quick size comparisons for you guys. Here we have the Spyderco Para 3, and the TRM Neutron 2. So very, very similar to those two knives, you know, very much in that size range. So if you are a fan of either the Para 3 or the Neutron 2 or both of them, more than likely you will be a fan, I think, of the size of the Ara, which is really cool. As for action, you have the hole here, thumb flick, fires out, no blade play, locked up really nice and tight, but it just fires out, real consistent, very, very nice. Reverse flick is also really well done. The D10, I wouldn't say is anything like, you know, it's not the best D10 I've ever handled, but it's very nice, it's very crisp, it's consistent, it's what you would expect from a Kizer, you know, in this price range. I've had no complaints at all with the fidgetability and the, you know, opening and closing of this knife. And of course you can slow roll it out. You have plenty of lock bar access there, which is awesome. Drops to your thumb, one shake, open. Drops to your thumb, some micro shakes, or pull it right past there, then micro shake it down. Very, very smooth, very, very consistent with the close. And at this point in, you know, 2025, you know what you're going to get when it comes to Kizer, you know, especially the $150 to $200 knives. Kizer just really knows how to make a good quality knife. And again, they are uber consistent with everything. You know, I've handled quite a few Kizers since I've started the channel, and everything is just spot on. And, you know, it seems like they're only getting better with their manufacturing and their quality control. So again, I've had no issues with the action. I find it very, very nice, very, very fun to fidget with. Again, very controllable, very snappy at the same time. So really, really enjoyed the action on the Ara. Ergonomics are quite comfortable. Again, this is not a huge knife. You guys can see I can get, you know, all 4 fingers in this knife pretty easily. I'm not too cramped. I'm not too, you know, smushed on there or anything like that. You have a nice bit of jimping right there for your thumb in the normal saber grip, or you can land the whole way out here, kind of in this poon area for pushing through cardboard, giving you that extra oomph, you know, to power through whatever you're cutting through. Cardboard is just kind of my de facto example because that's typically what you need extra power through. I mean, the knife is pretty slim and pretty, you know, thin. It's not a whole lot of real estate for the handle, which sometimes can cause a little bit of an ergonomic, you know, issue. But overall, I've had no issues with this. It's, again, very, very comfortable. The paw clip works great from an ergo standpoint. It's nice and flat. You do have a little bit of a point up here, but it's not, you know, sharp or anything like that. And you guys know I love flat clips because the flatter the clip, the more, you know, distributed, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Distributed the, you know, area is going to be, and it kind of just sits nicely into my knuckle crevice here, and it's not causing a hot spot at all. You could technically use this landing choil up here as a choil, but I mean, you are pretty much right on the edge of that blade, so you'd have to have really small fingers or just be really, really careful with what you're cutting around. But to me, this is a good enough grip. And of course, you can use the pinch grip, which I am a big fan of when, you know, opening letters, opening Amazon packages, whatever it may be. Basically, thumb on your pivot, middle finger on the other pivot, and pointer finger out here at the tip of the blade for slicing through things, cutting out labels, all that jazz. Yeah, ergos are great, very, very comfortable. And, you know, looking at the design, I expected it to be because I think I just mentioned in the Concept Knives Kizer Are knife that I just reviewed, which was a Paul Monco design. You know, a lot of his knives, they, you know, maybe a little bit different aesthetically than what some guys are used to, at least to me. Like, his designs are a little bit different, you know, than my typical, you know, prototypical knife that I would choose. But any knife that I've handled from him has been very, very comfortable, very ergonomic. And same with Jonathan Styles. I've only handled, I think, the mini Militaw, the full-size Militaw, and I think the Militaw fixed blade. But both of those are uber comfortable. And you can see, you know, this is just like a slimmed down Militaw handle. That's kind of how I'm putting it. Like, this is a slimmed down Militaw handle with a Paul Munko blade and a little bit of Paul, like up to here is, to me, Jonathan Styles, and then from here up is Paul Munko. But very, very comfortable. Now carries really well. It is a milled clip. It's kind of like a 3D milled clip. I think it looks great aesthetically. Like it's, really up there in one of my favorites for aesthetically pleasing when it comes to clips. And functionally, it works pretty well too. You guys can see, sits that far down into the pocket. So, I mean, it does stick up a little bit, but I like that there are no screws. The screws are underneath, so you don't have an issue that way, which is really nice. It is non-reversible, which I thought they might have done because it is a liner lock. It's not like it's a frame lock, so I think you could have gotten away with doing a reversible clip. But regardless, it's not. But it sits out in the pocket. You have no flipper tab, no jimping, anything like that to possibly catch your hand on, as you're underneath it getting changed, chapstick, AirPods, anything you have floating around your pocket. You have no risk of pulling it up out of there. Sits in there real nice and tight. Again, it's a slim knife, so I mean, it's pretty slim profile, which is really good. I've had, no issues carrying it in my bird dogs and gym shorts, just around the apartment, around the apartment complex. So carry is good. Again, pretty lightweight. No complaints at all there. So that leads me to my final category, which is price point. And this specific version goes for $169. So it's interesting. You have 4 different versions, and each version goes for a different price. The lowest version is the black titanium with gold carbon fiber, $159. I almost said 99 cents, but there's no 99 cents. So $160. Then you have this version at $170. Then you have the purple snowflake titanium at $199, so $200. And then you have the fully blacked out DLC with a Kizer blade instead of S45VN and a Damascus inlay for $299. So you have $160, $170, $200, and $300. I mentioned earlier, 2 are out of stock, 2 are in stock. The 2 that are in stock are the $300 version and the $160 version, so the lowest and the highest. But again, I will leave a link to all 4 variations down below if you guys are interested in checking them out. And if you use someone's code like Lefty10, save you 10%. I mean, that's a decent bit off of each one of these knives. So that'll probably take the 160 version down to like 145-ish. So, I mean, I think any of these versions as it is, I mean, I'm not really interested in Damascus, so I probably wouldn't pay for the $300 version. I think that's a little bit, to me, overpriced just because I'm not a big Damascus person. And same with the purple snowflake. That reminds me of like a Mokutai or Damascus, so wouldn't go that way. I would definitely go for, the gold carbon fiber with black titanium or this specific version. And I think 160 and 170 for what you're getting. S45VN, really nice titanium, great action, just a great design overall. Camo carbon, a great clip, great ergos, great action. Really just a nicely built knife designed by 2 great designers. I have no issues with those prices at all. I think they're, pretty adequate for what you're getting. And you guys know, like I said earlier in the video, Kizer between, $150 to $200 really can just knock it out of the park, I think, with value. I think they have a lot of great stuff in their catalog at that price point. And the Aura is, to me, probably one of the higher up models in that one. Now, if I'm going to put this up against like the Mini Militar, I absolutely love the Mini Militar. I really wish I had one of those in my collection. That's one that I kind of miss. I kind of forget about once in a while, but then when I see someone carry it or someone post it or, just come across it in my knife browsing, sort of routine, I'll be like, man, I really wish I had one of those. Just because it's such a premium knife, but it was really good, great action. So I would probably put the Mini Militar just a smidge above the Aura personally. But I mean, it's very close. And again, I really enjoyed this knife, and I think a lot of other people are as well. So leave a comment down below if any of you guys have the Aura in the collection. If you do, let me know what variation you have. And if you love it, if you hate it, and if you're kind of indifferent on it. You guys know I love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on what you have to say in the knife world. So, but I'm going to wrap this up now. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your morning, evening, day, night, whenever you're watching this, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.